This is Hog Farmer Chris from the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation. And before you start listening to Red Zone in the Lab, check out our Amazon Smile, a simple way to support the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation every time you shop, and it's no cost to you.
We're back! Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab with Deuce.
Welcome to a brand new season of the Red Zone in the Lab podcast, where nothing is off the table. We will be discussing entrepreneurship, education, Black history, health, movies, family, and of course, sports. So do yourself a favor, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow on all social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And of course, you can always visit us at redzoneinTheLab.com.
Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab podcast. I am Deuce. Today we got my man DT and CeeLo in here. We are doing the Cowboys Commanders post game. Another misery Monday. Another loss for the Commanders. Another disappointing loss. So just initial thoughts of the game. We'll start with you, CeeLo.
Probably similar to last week, frustrating, offensively inept. Felt like the defense did better than what the scoreboard says, but unfortunately, offense didn't hold up as in the bargain. Scoring 10 points in the NFL is a tough deal. So, and nowadays, so I would just say offensive ineptitude. And defensive improvement. To be quite honest, I thought they actually played okay given circumstances. That's my initial thought.
Yeah, once again, man, the offensive issues are starting to become a bigger thing than we expected. We had high expectations for the offense. We thought it was going to be highly improved, and to be honest, it is kind of improved. But I think the lack of help from the offensive line and adjustments being made from Scott Turner and play calling and, Carson Wentz being erratic at times is kind of hurting the offense. 3 straight games where, you really can't get past the 50. I felt like this game was kind of better, but it just wasn't enough. Defense, they kind of did their thing today. But when you're going against Cooper Rush, no disrespect to him, but you feel like you should beat a team like that, especially when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. But same thing every week so far. Kind of misery right now.
When we think about like improvements from last game, I think we all can agree that the defense as a whole is improving. It is moving the needle a little, but there are some players, personnel side, that are bad. That's making the defense look bad. If you're looking at it in whole, right? Take away the big plays, we could be like a top 10 defense. You take away the big plays the last 2 weeks, but we can't. And we know it's specific people that's kind of responsible for those big plays. But when we look at improvements on the offense and defensive side, what are some improvements have you seen, DT?
For me, is them running the ball. Just trying to have a physical aspect to the game. It was kind of different from the first couple of games. They kind of wanted to be pass happy. And, that's kind of Scott's philosophy. He's more of a pass happy coach than his father. But with the offensive line issues we're having right now, we have to establish a run. They ran the ball good, man. Like, I think at one point we're averaging like 6 or 7 yards a pop. Even Jonathan Williams was getting touches, and we were preaching that one of the post-game pods for him to get touches, and he looked good. That was a good improvement. Then the defense, I I don't.
He laughed.
I laugh because I feel like the defense do its job. We know at this point that they're a good third down defense. The run defense is solid. We know Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen going to show up. I guess St. Juice played good. I haven't really watched the game again because I'm still trying to shake the taste off my mouth. But those are the improvements I saw.
What about you, CeeLo?
I agree with everything DT says. And I would say big picture, it's nice to see. I think we're now game 2 in a row where the defense was able to stop the run. If y'all remember Jacksonville, we gave up some yards and some plays, pretty big plays. And then we all know about the Detroit debacle. But, against a very, high quality running team that the Eagles had. And now, Cowboys have tried to lean on, Tony Pollard and Zeke a little bit more since Cooper Rush took over. And I felt like, we did a good job. I think they averaged something like under, just over 2 yards a carry. So I'm very, very pleased with the defensive or the rushing defense. Still work to be done in the pass defense. I mean, we get, we had a couple of 3rd and longs yesterday, on the game. And you either had a big time PI that was called or a play that was just a horrible, matchup, right? You had the one play where I think, or actually 2 plays in a row where we had Jamin Davis against CeeDee Lamb. So, things like that, we can't have that. And like DT said, when you're going against Cooper Rush, respectfully, that's someone you need to really, really take advantage of. I was expecting to see a little bit more pressure. I was expecting to see a little bit more, blitzing and just, overloads, anything to kind of get him off his spot and make him uncomfortable. Because when he did, he made mistakes, or at least, almost made mistakes. And they didn't do that. They decided to play coverage, which I felt was a disadvantage. So I would say run defense was impressive. And like DT mentioned earlier, the rushing, I think we were like 157 yards, something like that. I mean, crazy stats. So I really did believe they did a good job. Also, if you look at the stats, man, we were favored. I said it a couple times, in private before this, before we did doing this. But I mean, we had time possession by like 6 or 7 minutes. We had, Washington had just a ton of advantages if you look at the stats, but you look at the penalties, that's what really popped out for us. And so, that's obviously a negative, but with positive, rushing defense and rushing offense.
And that's the thing, like when you look at this team, if you, a stat person or analytic person, next gen stats, like you see all those things, and there are like a ton of positives with this team, right? It's like, we're not like the bottom tier. Like our record is 1-3, but like the stats, like you talk about the time of possession, like Wentz as far as yards thrown, like the defense, 3rd down defense, and all those different things. A lot of categories, it look good, but it's not translating to the scoreboard. Like, how frustrating is that, CeeLo?
Yeah, that's tough. I think to me what that says is we're making big mistakes, right? We're making, whether it's allowing the opposing offense to gain a bunch of yards and end up in red zone real quick, or on an offense where we're turning the ball over, right? So either both of those or either of those are killing you. So as we now know that we turned the ball over. Without me looking it up, I can remember at least 9 turnovers right now, right? Or 7 at least, right? We had Wentz gave up 6, and I know Curtis Samuels had the 1 fumble loss, and that's the ones I can remember. And so we're not taking the ball away. We had two takeaways yesterday were called back for offensive PI or illegal touching, something like that. So we're in a negative position right now in turnover ratio, and that's how you lose football games. So I think it's the turnovers and the big plays together are causing, losing the football game, because everything else is starting to kind of like slowly improve. But you get killed in those negative plays.
Can those things be improved, DT? Like how many games can we say, okay, this can still be improved, but it's not like the big plays? I think we don't have as many big plays, but we still have at the most opportune time for the other team. Is that skill? Is that coaching? Because like with the penalties now, it's the penalties, right? We just had this issue. It's the penalties. So now we get into discipline. And when you talk about discipline, you talk about coaching. Do we really want to go down this round?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. One thing about Ron Rivera-led team, you would expect discipline, but right now, I think the mixture of like young players and like coaching techniques and things like that, especially when it comes to like the penalties, is kind of recurring. And at one point, we had more penalty yards than probably total yards in the game yesterday, and that's you can't win like that, man. In the league where you're playing against teams that are probably better than you on paper and you're an underdog, the one thing you can't compete against yourself, the refs, and the team you're trying to face. So those are the things that kind of separate the elite teams from the bad teams. And yeah, I do believe them things can be improved. I just think for this team, from what we know so far, it just takes time. It takes time for those little things to go through the season. It takes time for the defense to adjust to everything. It takes time for the offense to adjust. You don't want that. You don't want that adjust, right? But I think that's where we're at this point. It's a huge adjustment phase until they start clicking come November and December.
All right, so we talk about some improvements from previous game to this game, but moving forward, what are like some of the biggest needs of improvement? And we can start with you, DT.
What are the biggest needs?
I know there's probably a lot, right?
I want to point out something. I think I said this in the chat, man. And we talked about like the corners. To me, man, I don't think we have a slot corner on our roster. And I know we have St. Juice, but to me, St. Juice needs to be outside, man. Like he is more natural for him, big 6'3" corner. He can use the boundary as his advantage. We've seen him played against A.J. Brown, a physical receiver. And, I think that fits him for the future. And that I believe that's what Ron had a plan for him anyway. But for Kendall, I think that's the main reason we play a lot of zone, because Kendall plays better when his eyes are at the quarterback and he's able to see everything. And I don't know, a lot of people talking about putting him at safety. I don't think that's good for him either. So this might be a next year thing, man. We might have to reinvest in the secondary. It could be possible we might clean house and get rid of William Jackson III and Kendall Fuller. Now, Kendall Fuller, he might stay because due to his ties with the organization and things like that. But yeah, I think the secondary needs a whole revamp. So is the offensive line. Like those are the two key things that is kind of killing us right now. Once we get those things fixed, I think the team will be better. We'll be able to compete with the Kansas Cities, the Buccaneers, the Rams.
There's a lot of bad stigma about shopping for a used car. Well, come visit us at iCargo Motors. We'll take care of you. We'll ensure that your experience is not only seamless and efficient, but also satisfying. Because at iCargo Motors, we believe that the best form of currency is integrity.
Welcome back to Enters the Lab Live Show with Lady E, Mayo, Slim, C. Henry, and Deuce.
Ron called you, say, hey, CeeLo. How would you like to rearrange the defense as far as the defensive backs? What would be your ideal starters? 2 corners, either a slot or a safety, and the traditional, the other back 2 safety.
Yeah, I'll say first of all, Coach, Can we
Good play.
can we include the coordinator in there too? Nah, but I think that so William Jackson III clearly is not getting it right. So we talked all off season about adjusting to his skill set, allowing him to play a little bit more man, or a little bit more press man, close to the line of scrimmage, and let him kind of do his thing that way. He thrives on that, and that's what that's where he does. That's what he does well. Now y'all remember Jack Del Rio, as well as the coach up in Buffalo. They used to work for Ron. Sean McDermott. They all have defenses that plays a lot of zone. They play a lot of quarters, quarter and halves. They believe in their front seven to get home or to handle things within line of scrimmage within 7 10 yards, and then cornerbacks can kind of sit back and sort of wait for the quarterback to make a mistake or to kind of read and react, kind of like what Josh Norman did back when he was really, really good. So that's their defense. I mean, that's what they've done for like 20 years. And then we brought in this guy and we asked him to do something different that he's not quite accustomed to. And we're trying to, change it a little bit to fit his skill set, but he's still playing a lot. We still play a lot of zone. So I would tell Ron that, the first decide what kind of defense you want to play, Ron. Like, what do you want us to do? And then based on that, we need to adjust. So St. Juice, he seems to be a little bit more, he's a little bit more of a chameleon. He can play a lot of different positions and a lot of different defenses. I don't think he's better in one way or the other. I think he seems to be able to play a little bit of everything. So I would love to see Fuller and Benjamin St. Juice on the outside. I would like to maybe see either Danny Johnson or Christian Holmes or, someone on the inside, have William Jackson III play the fourth, play in the dime, or obviously play in the depth position. He still has abilities. I just think he needs some confidence right now. So that's probably what I would look at, in red zone. And I would just think about it differently. I would ask, what defense are we trying to run? And based on that answer is how I would answer that question.
I'd like to ask two things. So when I watch Philly and Dallas, right, obviously those two teams are the main ones that have been competing for the NFC's title for years now. When I watch their defense, it's one thing that truly sticks out to me, and that's just speed. How they disrupt the line of scrimmage, how their linebackers fly to the ball, and how their secondary able to react to things when it goes on, miscoverages, things like that. I think that's something we're missing, man. We have Montez Sweat, runs a 4.4. We have Chase Young. And then you got Deron Payne. I believe he has the ability to be a speed rusher. John Allen, I don't see him as a speed rusher, but he's definitely one of the best linemen. And you have Jamin Davis, who's developing, and he has the speed to get to the sideline to sideline. So I feel like that's what's really missing on this defense, man. We don't have that speed. And when I look at Dallas, like, they were just disrupting everything. Like, every levels of the defense was disrupting us. Speed on the back end, speed at linebacker with Parsons, and even the backups got speed. And just the defensive line was just going crazy. Even I'm watching this game right now with the 49ers. Like, they have speed. I think that's a big thing that we're missing.
Yeah, I agree, man. Even when you talk about Sweat, he has speed, but he play like he does. He play like he runs like a 4.7. Like, his game speed is so slow, man. He plays like, and I know a lot of times he may get a double team, he may get a chip, but they not doing it that much. Like, he's not being disruptive. Like, you got to get to some point, man, when you're like disruptive. And it just always seems to be that with us in defense and ends. I mean, we could go back to like Rakpo. We could come up a little bit to I can't think of his name. The Green Bay.
Preston Smith.
Preston Smith. Like, but they go other places and they thrive. And it's like this is wild to me. And I just man, I just don't get it, man. Like we just don't, like you say, we don't have, even if we have speed, they just don't play with speed. And I don't know if that's scheme or what, man. Because defense, like, man, Quinn was dialing stuff up. I mean, he was moving Micah over the place. He was moving DeMarcus over the place. I mean, Fowler, he was moving. He was moving all them. It's like they having fun. It's like they having fun out there on defense. When you in junior high school and you playing and y'all about to play like some bums or somebody I know y'all can blow. You just go out there and you just having fun. You know what I'm saying? It's like we not having no fun.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed too is like when we rush the passer, like unlike the year 2020, I just don't see everybody just like, I understand you're not going to win every matchup, but when it was like I don't care if you have like bad O-line play. Sometimes it's good O-line play, but the Eagles and the Cowboys were just winning their matchups, and it just made life so hard for Carson Wentz. Like every guy was winning their matchup. And I feel like whoever the defensive line coach or whoever Del Rio is telling them to do, they're telling them like as if just keep them in the pocket. And then if they feel like they don't have time to throw and cover, then you can get your sack. That's where I feel like is a huge disconnect, because I don't understand how in the world these guys are flying all over the field on defense and our guys just look kind of lackadaisical and you giving up a 31-yard catch to Zeke in the flat.
Yeah, that play was wild. Yeah. I don't know what Hope was doing. Go ahead.
That's where I was going to go. I feel like so when you talk about the front seven, or we run a lot of 5-2, or if we're going to do, use the Viper, I just feel like those 7 guys, whatever combination you want to have, man, they have to have that cohesiveness, that communication. And then you can start to, like you said, like have fun. Right. And so it feels like guys are kind of thinking a little bit. And then guys are also just sort of trying to stick with, they're trying to be disciplined. That's what we've been talking about all offseason, right? Discipline, guys rushing outside their lanes, guys not, keeping containment, yada, yada, yada. And so guys are really, it feels like, it looks like at least they're kind of overthinking. I'm still seeing, I think Jamin Davis doing a heck of a job. I'm still seeing him kind of in that gray area, in tennis, they call it no man's land. Like if you're not up at the net, if you're not all the way back, behind the baseline, you're going to get beat. So it just feels like they're really kind of unsure. And so they're not able to just play. And so, that speed is still not fully, that game speed is not showing up. Well, let's say that measured speed, I guess I should say, it's not really showing up in the game tape, because they're all kind of half a step slow, half a step bigger. They're trying to think about what they're supposed to do, yada, yada, yada. And so it shows up on tape. So, I agree with everything y'all saying, man. It does feel like the defense just isn't quite feeling itself yet and playing with a lot of confidence. And so you're starting to see that, or you're seeing a little bit of that show out on the football field.
Yeah, let's go to the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, the line has been bad. Just found out today that Cosme may miss a couple weeks. So I guess we're going to see some Lucas, look like Sia Charles, Martin, Noel, and Leno. Hopefully they can improve, right? I was all for the benching of Trey Turner. What I didn't like was the timing of it. Right, you pull him out the second series. If he has that short of a leash, then what's the point of even starting him? Like, what's the point of taking all the reps away from Sia Charles all last week, right? If you knew he had this short of a leash, it wasn't the second half. They didn't give him the first half and say they come out in the second half with the change. It was the second series. Like, if he was that short of a leash, he should have been pulled him. So that was my issue with that. And it's just, man, we can't get no protection. I mean, and it is only with like 4. That's what makes it worse. is that they're sending 4. So there's no dump off most of the time because the back is covered. Right. And it's just, man, I just don't know. They just going to have to be better. Like what we have is going to have to be better. I know a lot of people is calling for Flowers and Billy Price and some other guys, but those vet guys is going to make the same money on every team. So what's the point of them coming to us at 1-3 this early? They can wait 4 or 5 more games to make a decision to see who's going to be contenders and who's not, and wait for somebody to go. These guys can go on anybody's practice squad. I'm sure they got calls, but they probably want to wait and fill it out a little bit. Now, why would they want to come here now? You know what I mean? So I just don't know. What do you all think that we can do to improve the O-line? I mean, make a couple changes, but all in all, it's going to have to happen internally, I believe, and they just going to have to play better.
So to your point, where I have concern is like you said, is the coaching and the personnel management, if you want to call it that, right? So what have y'all been doing since OTAs and mini camps? And then when you started putting the pads on, did you not see how awful these dudes look in pads? I mean, did you not see what we see? Like what hasn't transpired in practice that you just haven't been able to see, on Sundays? And that's where I'm struggling with. So this is the thing that Ron is getting blamed for a lot. And I have a hard time defending this one because I do tend to defend Ron a lot. Is his inability or let's say his decision not to make a move sooner. He likes his guys and he gives them a lot of opportunity to recover. And he brought in these 2 guards. I understand we had some other guys that were nicked up, so maybe these guys weren't exactly supposed to be the starters. Versus having, Larson as a backup center. And the other guy off of that's coming off of PUP as well. So I just feel like I'm questioning the personnel. Do they know, who's out there and how they can translate into this offense, and then do they know what to look for in practice? Like, did you not know that, that Turner was struggling? And so Sadiq was right. Like to your point, why does this take so long to figure out? And this is the most important, in my opinion. This is like, as the offensive line goes, we go, because that's where it all starts, to help Carson feel comfortable and be able to execute. And now you're speeding up that clock. So that's where I'm at. Red Zone is, what are they doing from a coaching perspective or not doing to not figure that out earlier? We're in week 4. And you're just figuring it out. Turner's been looking awful from day 1. So that's where I am.
Yeah, and I'll add some context to this too. So when we traded for Wentz, the $28 million already came in and made an impact. So one of the things they wanted Flowers to do was to take a pay cut, I believe. And he didn't want to take a pay cut. But they loved the guy. It was no hate towards him, but it was kind of a move that they had to do, and he just didn't want to take the pay cut. So my thing is this. One thing that they brought out and said that, well, Flowers, he's more of a run-blocking guard, and with Noel, he can help you out more with the screen game, and he's more athletic. Through these 4 games, I have not seen the athleticism.
I have not seen it at all.
I think he's stiff. I think for Trey Turner, is maybe the quad has been bothering him since the whole offseason. And because due to Wes Schweitzer getting hurt week 1, he was kind of forced to play because he was second in line. And I think the offensive line is the most important unit in the NFL, and especially for Carson Wentz. So for me, I think it's a personnel and coaching thing. One of the things RG3 said today, and I usually don't agree with RG3. I mean, I don't hate the guy, but what he said today, it made a lot of sense. And when I think about Carson Wentz when he was in Philadelphia, one of the best things he did was he moved out the pocket. So one way to help out the offensive line is to move the pocket, bootlegs, some sprint outs, things that way to move the ball out of the pocket. So that way the offensive line won't have to hold on 7-step dropbacks as much, and it helps Carson gets in rhythm. And Carson's good on the run when he's not making a weird throw, but he's a great passer on the run. I think that's something Scott has to look at in order to help this passing game, man. Passing game through the 3-game losing streak has been almost like 40 to 50 yards at halftime, and that's embarrassing.
Yeah, I think so. Going back to your original point, opening up about Flowers and maybe taking a pay cut, we talked a little bit about this, offline. I think that I struggle with that, right? Like, I'm not saying we need to go out there and be what the Jaguars did or what the Rams did and some other teams like Philly, but we got to be better than that. We went and got a $28 million quarterback. The average salary for quarterbacks up in the 40s right now. So, like, if we were to go and get Russell Wilson, which we were trying to get, then what would be the excuse then? So something's not translating for me in terms of what we didn't do because we signed this guy. Now, maybe, we chose not to spread out his cap hit or his salary. We chose not to renegotiate with Carson Wentz. We clearly weren't all in on Carson Wentz if you look at the dollars and cents, right? Because contractually, we chose to pay him a big chunk of money this year versus, spreading that out and renegotiating. But even with that being said, I feel like we're in a very good position, from a salary perspective. But then at the same time, we're asking guys like, Flowers and the linebacker that we wanted to re-sign to take 2 pay cuts, because we're trying to get up under the cap a certain amount of money or whatever, and it's just not adding up to me. Where's the manipulation? Where's asking other guys to renegotiate? Where's pushing some money back? I mean, what are we trying to do here? So it's weird to hear that, but I know that's a factor. I just think that we're not as bad off as I feel like we make it seem that we are, and so anyway, so that's kind of, I struggle with that. So then, to your point, we bring in guys that are a little bit more affordable. They're coming off some significant injuries, so therefore they're not commanding a top dollar. We think we could coach them up, and then we put them out there. That's a big risk for a guy like you said, and Carson Wentz that hasn't been mobile since 2017, 2018. He is a statue back there. Matter of fact, that was one thing that I learned in this game. DT is that, and Red Zone is that. Man, that dude is like a cement in his like freaking like cleats. This dude is looking so painful. Even rolling out. Even when remember that one play.
He's like a tree out there.
First quarter, they had Logan Thomas trying to block Micah Parsons. Micah, of course, gets past him. It is supposed to be like a read option. And then, Carson goes running. I'm like, dude. Now, I know Micah Parsons is an athlete, but, man, it just like he was laboring out there. So, anyway, he's not the same guy that we saw when he first got on the scene. But to not really go all in on your offensive line because of salary cap is very troubling to me.
And we have the money, CeeLo. That's the crazy, mind-boggling thing about this. We have the money to sign guys.
Yeah,
so
we
what
had
are we
money.
doing?
We had money.
Crazy. I don't understand. And I know a lot of people that's a theory. That's a working theory. That's why we didn't go too crazy in the offseason. Go back one more example. We brought back all 11 starters from defense. We didn't make not one change. Bism St. Juice didn't play much, so he's coming back, off injury or the concussion stuff. So that's kind of like an added person. But for the most part, we didn't make any changes on defense from the 11 starters, which meant we felt like we were good to go in these 11 starters. We kind of claimed consistency. Oh, now they're going to play together for the second year in a row. So now we're going to, claim that, communication is going to be better, blah, 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 blah. I think that was a mistake, so there's something going on here with the salary cap thing. And I feel like that's a very legitimate point. And if that is a reason, then we got bigger problems.
I agree. Let's try to see if we can find some duds and some dubs, man. Can you offense and defensive dub somebody that kind of stuck out, that played well on offense and defensive side? We'll start with you, CeeLo.
On offense, if it's possible to say this though, but with that running game, I thought Gibson had a good game. I thought Jonathan Williams had a good game, and I thought McKissick had a good game. I felt like they all three ran well
I'm gonna be
together.
real, bro.
What's that?
Whole team was good.
Yeah.
No, DUB. Some good dub.
Yeah. I was going good first, but
my man DT said whole team dub.
But I'm gonna go.
Find some DT. I'm gonna give you some time. I'll do mine next. You can find some DT.
I'm gonna stick to one. I'm gonna just say I'm gonna just go with I'm gonna go with Jonathan Williams. I'm gonna go off script. I'm gonna say Jonathan Williams. He's the undrafted guy. He's just like it's like his fourth or fifth team. He looked good out there, man. He looked decisive. We didn't stick with him as much, but I felt like he did a good job for the limited amount of carries he has. I'm gonna go with Jonathan Williams.
Yeah, for me, man, let's kind of let's talk about the run games. They had 101 rushing yards in the first half and didn't do nothing with it. Like they didn't build off of that at all. No play action. They couldn't play action them. They didn't care. Because it's like Dan Quinn knew, like, nah, we'll let him get this, man. But when we come back from the half, I got something for him. And he literally did. So I've never seen a running game not create no passing lanes at all. And it didn't stop the pass rush. And that's all we kept saying all week, right? Like, if we can create a run game, it can hold the pass rush. It didn't, bro, at all, man. But on the offensive side, oh, man, that's tough, man. Man, I'm talking about DT. Let me see. I want to continue to say Samuels. I mean, he's still looking good if Carson can get him the ball. But yeah, the running game, I'll say Williams. He came in and he got a good spark. I think, and you can tell, right? You can tell the way he hits the holes on the zones and all those things, that is difficult for Gibby to do that. Do you kind of see that struggle with him, CeeLo? But yeah, the dubs for the offense, someone that you can kind of look at to go, they did well. And I think pretty much me and CeeLo went with Williams.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna have to go with Williams, bro. Like, it was mainly because this is someone, like, I didn't understand, if we were running back by committee, right? Why not use all of our running backs? Like, even with Brian Robinson out, like, that can't be an excuse why you can't run the ball. Like, there's a reason why he made the 53. You got to at least use them, either special teams or third down blocking whatsoever. You got to find a way to get these players touches and stuff like that. And he showed great burst, great contact balance. I'm sitting here like, oh my God, like, why did we not use this guy against the Lions? We could have won the Lions game with him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but I wonder, have we ever been in a position where we ran the ball this much or been able to run the ball this much?
You're right about that, because we've been down by so many points.
Yeah, and what Gibby was doing wasn't enough to be like, yeah, I need a breather. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And remember, this is a very close game up until like the third quarter, right? So
yeah,
something like that, right? So we definitely we were given time to actually, try some other guys out. I don't remember if Curtis got any carries, yesterday, but we definitely tried just about everything and everyone under.
You're right, bro. I didn't even think about that. Did he? He
I
had to get a Curry. Ain't no way he didn't get one.
Maybe he did. Maybe he did. We gotta look it up. But I think this is the first game we actually, the game was close enough, and we were able to give him some touches and try to high hand. I saw a couple of rushes with Gibby that looked really. He had a couple of really good rushes, but I saw a couple like typical Gibby. He left some yards on the field, and so I felt like, and probably Ron did too, or I guess Scott Turner. Was that they needed to try Jonathan Williams out a little bit, and he actually ended up taking advantage of it. So, yeah, man, I think it was a situational thing, and Jonathan took advantage of it.
Yeah, if you think about it, Gibson is more so of like a third down running back. Like a lot of his stuff that he's good at is like off tackle, where he can get outside. Like the zone runs and stuff where he needs vision, he just can't get it.
Yeah.
You know, my thing with him that I noticed the other day, for some reason I was really just focusing on this. He goes down really easy. Like I'm talking like shoestring tackles.
Like a wide receiver.
Yeah, like he's a lot easier to bring down when you have a lot of these, a lot of the better backs in the league. It takes a little bit more than that, right? They have great balance. They have great footwork, perfect spacing. So they can kind of keep their balance a lot easier. But he doesn't seem like he's really feeling it that well. And so when he feels contact, he's going down, or at least getting off balance. And it just it's kind of frustrating.
That's the difference between Brian Robinson, Jonathan Williams, and Antonio Gibson. The contact balance, the ability to get extra needed yards, making a 2nd and 4 and turning that technically to a 2nd and 1. That's what provides Scott Turner the balance that we truly need. That way we can run play action. That way we can run Curtis Samuels with the motion, attack the linebacker's eyes and things like that. And those things are essential in this offense.
Yeah, and just the ability for Brian Robinson to hit holes, to get skinny through holes, like all of those things, it takes a while. Like you have to be playing this position. Like I think this is one of the positions that's very instrumental in college, right? Running back. It teaches you how to get skinny, teaches you those things DT was just referring to. It teaches you balance. It teaches you hit balance and all those different types of things. It's very rare because if you think about it, when you think about Deebo Samuel, Cordell Patterson, the GOAT that was doing this before all of them and Percy, like when you think about all those guys, a lot of their stuff, except for now Cordell Patterson is taking like traditional handoffs. But these guys is mostly like off of like jet sweeps, right? Long traps, zone runs. But it's not like every play. They're not like the feature back in that sense. But Gibby is, and you can see the struggles.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This coming to you all. Just wanted to share these amazing, amazing Tava products with you all that has helped me drop 60 pounds over a year and a half. So look, I'm going to start out with our flagship product, which is our Sia Detox Tea. When I tell you it's amazing, it's going to clean out your upper and your lower intestines. And also, Sia stands for empty in Spanish. That's the first part. Now we have Violate 30, which is vitamin and liquid energy for 30 days. Now, once you detox, it's going to take out good and the bad. So this right here is going to put everything good back in your body, all the nutrients you need. Now this here is a flare. The flare will definitely get you there. It has no caffeines, no sugars. You will not have jitters. It's all natural and it gives you great energy. Last but not least, we have our CBD infused coffee, Caprice. Colombian blend. It helps keep you calm. Does not have any caffeines or sugars. It's all natural. Chaga mushrooms and Garcinia gambodia, which is good for memory. So if you want to try any of these amazing products, all you have to do is reach out to me. You can reach me on Facebook at Van Thomas or Instagram at Van_the Detox Man. If you want to reach out, just hit me. I'll gladly get back to you. Peace.
Welcome back to Enters the Lab Live Show with Lady E, Mayo, Slim, C. Henry, and Deuce.
A dub on defense, someone that kind of stood out to you all.
I'm gonna say Payne again. He got back. He got back in the quarterback slap a lot. I want to say he had one, if not two sacks, maybe one. He definitely was a force. Like I said, they've limited the running game the last 2 weeks to like very, 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 very manageable yards. So forced a lot of second and third and longs, and that's really helpful. So I feel like Payne is really stepping up in both the run and the pass game. So I'm gonna say Payne.
Yeah, Deron Payne balling, bro. Like every game he has showed up. Every game he's penetrating. He's causing havoc. I keep telling y'all, man. Everybody kept disrespecting my boy Payne. He got that K1 short in him. Just ain't seen it yet. You seeing it now.
Yeah, man, he's just getting better and better. Contract year or not, I don't care. I need him. He's balling out. I'm gonna go with Jamin Davis, man. I'll let y'all go with Payne, man. I think he's been getting dogged for like the last year. I think he's just progressing, and I just wish that he would have had this progression last year, and he would be so far along right now. But it's okay. He waited a year. Hopefully, he can continue to progress and get better gradually each game. Hopefully, Del Rio can put him in better spots because I think keep putting him out for every game. I just don't know how. Like the offensive coordinators are seeing it, bro. Like they are seeing ways to line up like their best receiver and end up having Jamin Davis on them. Like that's a problem to me. Even when he go out wide with the running backs, like that too is he's just not ready for that yet. They have to find a way to scheme up something different when it comes to him. So let's do some duds. Give me some duds on defense. This shouldn't be hard at all.
I'm giving that guy William Jackson III the business. I'm sorry,
bro.
I'm sorry, bro. Like it's bad right now for him. I feel, and it's tough for me to say that because I thought he would be fantastic here. You know what I'm saying? This year, you know, he was saying all the right things. You know, working on all of the stuff that they didn't do too well last year. Felt real comfortable. Blah 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 blah. But man, he is out there looking like straight toast. I'm talking getting turned around. It's just bad. It's just bad technique. He has a lot of confidence issues, and you know, and as a DB, as a starting, you know, outside corner, like confidence has to be. You have to be a dog because you're by yourself. That's a tough position to play. Period. So yeah, I think it's going to be William Jackson III right now.
The worst part of my mouth, man. William Jackson III, bro. This is a nasty take, but Rashad Breeland was better, bro. I don't care.
Man, we have gotten here. I know I took out for him like week before last, man, when they was calling him Josh Norman, man, but he out this joint getting cooked. Even I'm getting cooked. That's his mean. Then he got people out here dragging him, like Pac-Man Jones, Chris Harris Jr. Like these people, they just dragging him, bro. Like,
dragging.
Like what did he do to these people, man? We just getting dragged all over, man. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Bobby McCain, man. For some reason, Bobby McCain is never on top of the play. He's always trailing. And I just don't understand. I don't get it, man. I just don't get it.
And you know what? To me, I'm going to say this real quick. He might be the slot defender that needs to be in the slot, bro. Because at Miami, he was the highest paid slot defender. But over here, he's a safety. So, I don't know, man. We got to make some changes, yo.
Yeah, we talked about that in the chat, too.
Yeah, maybe you do put him in the slot. I mean, some plays and put Kendall back at free safety. I mean, he's a guy that needs to be looking at the quarterback. You know, even in man, usually the free safety is still got deep thirds and they still in the zone look. So maybe we got to do that, man. I mean, we just got to bite the bullet with William Jackson III, put St. Juice out on the corner, and, you know, hopefully something happens. But we got to do something. We got to make some type of moves, man. Yeah, man. So, okay. So all right, where are you all at from 1 to 10? 10 being still hope to this season, still hope for a playoff run, and then 0 is hanging up.
You said 0, just hang it up.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna be real, bro. I think my confidence level is like
mine is shot right now. Yeah, it might be different Thursday, but
I don't even know what the number is, bro, but it's pretty low because I feel like yeah, it's the NFL, but we had an easy schedule and we just didn't take advantage of it, bro. Like if we had came out 2-2, then you would have been back at home with Brian Robinson playing the Titans. Then you got Thursday night game against the Bears. Then you come home, play the Packers, and then you play the Colts and the Vikings. And then you have the Eagles Monday night. That's a tough stretch, bro. Whatever people don't believe it, that's a tough stretch. And then you play Aaron Rodgers, and we know how Kirk Cousins is at 1 o'clock. He better at 1 o'clock than 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock. So we got a tough road ahead, man.
Where you at, CeeLo?
Yeah, I'm with y'all, man. You know, so I think last week we were all kind of not panicking quite yet, 3 weeks in. Now it's 4 weeks. My issue is a little bit less about us and more about the rest of the division. You got Cooper Rush, and for Dak, they're still winning. You got Daniel Jones winning. You got the Eagles doing their thing. They're 4-0, right? So we're like literally at the bottom of the division. And in the meantime, we're trying to figure out offensive line issues. Our quarterback is trying to learn a new scheme, all this other stuff that we talked about today. That's where my concern is. It's like time. It's like now I'm starting to panic because we don't have that much time left. Yeah. So that's where I end up being. So yeah, I'm probably pretty low right now, just given the fact that our other opponents are really like balling, and we aren't.
Because of you, Jason Wright, Ron Rivera, some of these players, Deron Payne, you guys are balling out, man. I don't even have no number either, man. I just know it's low. But I don't even want to say it because of my fandom, man. I feel like y'all can do something. Y'all continue to let us down. I don't know why. I just keep allowing you to let me down. But I guess I've been doing it for this long. I guess I'm becoming insane, right? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So maybe the people like such and such and such and such, I ain't gonna say their name on the pod, maybe they can stop being negative and hopefully some positive will come. I don't know how this works, bro. But again, this is Red Zone in the Lab. I appreciate CeeLo. I appreciate you, DT, for coming through, man. We do this usually on Sunday nights at 9:30, but yesterday things didn't work out. So we here. Breeze is usually with us, but he's home sick. So pray for him that he'll get healthy, he'll get better. So he could be with us on next week. DT CeeLo, appreciate y'all for coming through.
No problem, man.
We out.
All right, man. This is Red Zone in the Lab podcast. I'm Dion with DT and CeeLo. Appreciate y'all for listening. Gonna be watching. Next week, we're gonna be back on the video, man. I promise you that. One beat, one sound, one heart, one love.
Thank you for listening to Red Zone in the Lab podcast. Please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Red Zone in the Lab. And you can download our podcast at Spotify, iTunes, and Podbean. And please visit our website at redzoneinTheLab.com. Thank you.